Welcome to the podcast where mental health is at the core of what we focus on. We strive to develop people like you to maximize who you are and what you've been called to do by sharing tools and resources for better brain health. And now here's your host, Juan Garcia.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have been discussing during this series family of origin, dysfunctional rules, and we've been talking about the fact that there are 9 that we will cover during this series. And today we are going to discuss dysfunctional rule number 4. And that dysfunctional rule goes like this: always be good, always be perfect, always be strong. Now, this is so unhealthy in so many levels. And I know I say that with every rule, but I want to highlight the importance of knowing that this is not only unhealthy, but it is not attainable. It is not realistic. There is no way that we can put this expectation on the people that we love the most. Now, clearly, a lot of the dysfunction that we live off of, or that we grew up in when we were little, was based on the dysfunction that our parents grew up in, or maybe they lacked something and they were making up for it in some different ways, and it became dysfunctional. Regardless of how it is, how we obtained it, how we got to it, how we went through it, and how we're living now, we have to call it what it is. It is dysfunctional, it is unhealthy, it is not good for us for many reasons. And clearly, anytime that we have a dysfunction that we can point to that has been part of our development, then we can see some of the gaps that we may have in our emotional awareness, in our emotional IQ or intelligence. There's a gap because we were taught that we always had to be good, we always had to be strong. Get up and pick yourself up by the bootstraps and just keep on going. No matter what. Now, there's good aspect of that. But to say be strong, be good, be perfect is insinuating that we are not allowed to be human. Because the only way we can do all that is to not be human, to be superhumans, to be, supernatural individuals, which we are not. We are still living in this earth. We're still living in this body that's limited. We get tired. We get frustrated. We experience loss. We experience hardships. We experience difficulty, betrayal, a lot of things, rejection. We experience abuse. We experience violence, evil. There are a lot of things that we experience as human beings that affect our emotional state. And it is okay to feel tired. It is okay to express sadness, to express loneliness, frustration, anger. It is okay to express these things emotionally. And it's okay to say, I that's not my strength. I'm weak in that area. In fact, it's very healthy to know what your strengths are, but also to know what your weaknesses are. Because when you know your weakness, then you really try to improve your strengths so that your weaknesses are not the ones that are driving the decision making and the way you approach things. Your weaknesses, you're not going to get better at them necessarily. I mean, there's ways that you can manage your weakness, but you're not going to make your weakness a strength. There's no way. Your weaknesses are there to remind you that you are weak, that you are limited, that there's areas in your life that you're not going to do 100%, or that you are not going to be strong at, and that's okay. That's part of being a human being. And then to be perfect is unattainable, unrealistic, unfair. We cannot have these standards and these expectations of our children, our family members. But we grew up that way, some of us, right? We were told, you got to be good. You got to be good. Now, obviously, it's not saying in contrast that we should be bad. That's not what it's saying. But what it's saying is that you have no room to mess up you have no room, and I could speak for myself. I know as a perfectionist, because I will say that, and my family will agree to that to some degree. There were times where my kids, when they were younger, if they made a mess, if they dropped something, obviously as a parent, you want to draw attention to that so that they are responsible, so that they clean up. But the way I did it, my tone, the way I approached it, it was not healthy. It was not good, because now that I look back, I feel that I came across as, you're not being good. You're not being perfect. What is wrong with you? Those are the things that we don't say necessarily, but it comes across that way with our tone and with the way we address the issue. And unfortunately, there are people that actually say those words. Why can't you be perfect? Why can't you be good? Why can't you be like so-and-so? We make the comparison, and it becomes a trap. And emotionally, we also tell our children in many ways, sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly, and don't cry, and don't be quiet, don't say anything, don't talk back. We're limiting them in so many different ways because we have the authority to do so. We're their parents, and they have no say. And this is very dysfunctional. We expect of them what we ourselves can't even do. I mean, we strive for it. We try to be perfect. We try to be good. We try to be strong. Why? Because someone in our past had that expectation of us. Our parents, our teacher, our guardian, someone that had authority over us, influenced us, convinced us that this was an expectation that not only was expected of us, but also that we could attain somehow, even though it's not attainable. So this rule is very dysfunctional, and we need to replace it with truth. And the truth of this rule, for it to be functional, is that as we strive for perfection, even though we know we can't obtain it, we will come across excellence. So that's a different way to look at it. As we work hard to do better, to succeed, and to have good results, we will develop a spirit of excellence, so that when we do things, we do them the best that we can. We don't do them half-heartedly. We don't do them with lack of motivation. We don't do them procrastinating. We approach things that we know are good for us and healthy in an excellent way, knowing that we're not going to be perfect, but we're going to try and we're going to do our best, and that's all we can do. We have expectations of our children to have A's and B's when we were C students, right? That's very common in families. This standard, this expectation. Why? Sometimes because parents, we feel that we don't have the time to invest in spending it with our children, and so we don't want to get a phone call from a teacher. We don't want to get a letter or note, an email, some type of notification that our child needs help. We don't want them to go to summer school. We don't want them to stay after school. We don't want them with suspension issues. So we expect them to handle matters at any cost, at all costs, because we don't want to be bothered. And so our children develop this fear of failing that's not healthy. They develop this fear of missing the mark or not being good enough. And they convince themselves of this false belief. They say to themselves, I'm never going to be good enough. No matter what I do, it's never good enough. And this is difficult, especially when you get older, because it's so ingrained in you that it's difficult to get away from it. You have to do hard work. You have to really dig deep and become aware and then become comfortable in your dysfunction. And so we pay it forward by recognizing that some of the things that we've done in life have been based on a dysfunctional rule. And this could be one of them. There is no standard for us to achieve perfection. There is no reality in that. We need to have realistic expectations. And for those that we love, for our family, we need to let them know how much we love them and how much they can be in tune with how they feel. They can be okay with being sad. They can be okay with saying, this is difficult. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And then we talk about it. We help them. We encourage them so that helps them move forward. But we don't have this unrealistic expectation of perfection, of being good and of being strong all the time. I unfortunately go to many funerals or go to hospitals where dealing with, sadness, with grief, with loss. And you hear family members tell one or several family members, you have to be strong, you have to be strong. And if I'm working with this family long enough, I earn the right to say things, and I take advantage of those moments to say, no, you don't have to be strong. This sucks right now. This is difficult. This is real. This is loss. This is painful. This hurts. And it's okay to hurt. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to experience grief in the midst of loss. Take it all in. Let it out. Because if you suppress that, people don't grieve properly. And eventually it seeps out into different forms in different ways. So we don't want to live according to this dysfunctional rule. Now, I gave you a condensed version of how bad this rule is and how dysfunctional it is. But I want you to stay tuned because there are more rules that we still need to cover. There are 3 rules that we already covered prior to this one. So stay tuned, like, comment, share this video with family, with friends. Let them know this is not okay. These are dysfunctional rules that maybe we learned that we're still doing and we don't realize it. Let's create awareness. Let's help our fellow man to understand where dysfunction is being lived out and to stop it so that we can be better humans in this world. So if you have not subscribed, subscribe, hit that bell so that you are notified when we drop these episodes and that you are encouraged and equipped to be in a functional context. Thanks again for staying tuned. Thanks again for watching and listening to our episodes. And please, please, please apply these rules in a functional way as we learn together to live better. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast. For more information, visit our website at juangarciaenterprises.com. Our host, Juan Garcia, is available for speaking, coaching, and one-on-one counseling. You can email us at info@juangarciaenterprises.com. Until next time, remember, we only have one mind, so mind yours.